Good to be back, actually. And we're not alone. We have a full house today, and it's always beautiful when the women outnumber the men. It's unusual for a freshly
Class
pressed.
warfare.
So let me start with the only man in the panel of judges. Amongst the panel of judges, we have Ugo Dre with us. That's Ugo Dre.
Last man standing. Good morning, Lagos.
Thanks for coming to keep Valentine company. And we have Fumi Odude. Good morning,
Good
Fumi.
morning, I am.
And Fumi is at Fumi Odude on Twitter. And we have Adenike.
Hello. Why would you call everybody's full name and not call my own?
Oh, sorry, Adenike Oyeti. Because you don't need a
Didn't call.
surname. You're like shit. Adenike
Okay, she didn't call.
Oyetunde.
Good morning. Good morning. Don't
By
By
worry.
the way, somebody sent a message last week saying
Eh?
that the guy, he said he was proud of both of you.
He probably went to school with us. You know, we're classmates. So,
I
yeah.
see.
All right, brilliant. So it's historical day here on a Thursday. But let's go on to how you can be a part of the conversation this morning.
Send us messages through WhatsApp to 0809-444-0981. That's not all. We're streaming live on YouTube, so you can watch us in the studio, sharing the fun and leave a message there. Also on Twitter at Smith981FM with the hashtag FreshlyPressed981. Our first story for you, Ugo, is from the Punch newspaper. Pension states failed to remit to 3.4 billion naira deducted from workers' pay, and this is according to the contribution. That's part of the contributory pension scheme. Is a statement released by the acting director general, National Pensions Commission, Aisha Daher Umar, who disclosed this during the second quarter consultative forum for states in Lagos that was held in Lagos on Wednesday. By this statement, go tell us the ramifications of these funds. When I say ramifications, I mean the state affected, how these monies were successfully overlooked and probably not, remitted. When do you?
Ramifications.
Is there-
I guess the states, which of course this article didn't actually list, mention, are reading this and are saying, look at these people. I was telling you that I couldn't even pay salaries. I have paid the salaries, paid it in full,
Right.
and you're complaining that I did not pay the pension. I mean, like, where do you want me to get the money from? We've tried now. Why are you people? Which one is this one? These people are never satisfied. Anyway, bottom line is, the gist of the story is that 3.4 billion naira of people's money haven't been remitted to pensions, and what that means, or the implication basically, is that the kind of returns that they would have gotten, they've probably lost it forever, right? So because that money would have been invested over the last 1 year, because
Yes.
typically your money goes to the PFA, and the PFA invests that money, even though the
PFA
yields have
being the
been low.
pension fund
Administrator, yes,
Okay.
we invest that money, and then you should expect some return. And this is compounded over time, because the whole idea of pension is that if you have 100 naira and you invest it and it gives you 110 naira, which is 10% interest, you reinvest 110 naira at 10%, and it gives you that compounding growth.
Yes.
So once you miss that, first contribution, or that contribution for a year, then that's a return that you've lost forever. That's really the implication here, and not just for the contributors, but for the market in its entirety. So the challenge here is, or you go back to the root cause, which basically is that a lot of the states can actually even fund salaries. So how can they even fund, pensions? And if you actually dig further, I won't be surprised to learn that a lot of these states also haven't actually remitted the taxes, the PAYE, that they would have deducted from their employees, because at the end of the day they have to deduct this PAYE from employees. But what is sad here is that pension is both ways. So you contribute as an employee, and then your employer matches your contribution by, I think, 2% higher. I think you 8%, employee,
Yes.
Employer 10%. So that is like your own money and the government's money not being contributed to pension. So that's the challenge. But larger thing here, Valentine, is we have to solve the problem of states being able to fund people salaries. And now that we've increased minimum wage, this just get worse.
Ugo, I'll allow you to stretch a bit further, because I want to ask this question, so it doesn't seem like it's just the states we're focusing on. We know that sometimes private institutions emulate the actions of governments. So when you talk about companies, for instance, now we see that a lot of companies are not regulated. Is this a phase? Is there a word? Phasal thing? Does it go in phases? After the examination on states, are they going to now spread the nets to see how many private companies are complying?
The thing is that they've actually always started with private companies,
Yeah.
not
Mm.
actually states,
Yeah.
because you really can't do it into states. What they will just do is it's in forums like this, they come and just deliver a paper and say, states haven't been contributing and blah blah, and that's where it ends, because the enforcement is usually a lot more with private companies. And when you say private companies, now you now start to divide them into the very formal ones and then the informal ones. So they start with the formal ones, the ones that they can catch, the ones that are very visible. So they go after those ones and make sure that those ones remit. And to be fair, the private sector has actually been remitting, pension. Where they've had challenges has been with the informal sector, which is why Buhari came up with this the revised pension scheme for self-employed people, where I think they call it micro pensions or something like that. Yeah, so that you can get a lot more informal private sector markets start to contribute pension fund. But the bigger problem, really, if you dig into this pension issue, is that young people make up a smaller percentage of pension contributors today. It is very bad. What it means is that people like you who are old,
I agree.
right,
with you.
are the ones basically contributing pensions. So what it means, and the way these things work is that you need a lot more young people.
Exactly, because it's
exactly. But now they are not, because a lot of them are in Canada, so they are contributing that pension in Canada. They are not, and some of them that are here don't have good jobs, so they can't really contribute.
Thank you, Go. Next story is from this newspaper. Yakubu, he says the Independent National Electoral Commission he described it as a commission as the most improved public institution in Nigeria, and also went further to say that it has done better than most countries. The actions of the INEC in Nigeria can be compared to success of many countries in Africa put together. It's better than the efforts that has been experienced since 1999 till date. On this personal scorecard, what are your thoughts, Pumi?
Well, it depends on who you're comparing yourself with. And I like the man. He's actually does not pass his Professor Yakubu, he doesn't pass his level too much. I mean, he described the commission as the most improved public institution in Nigeria. And then when he was comparing, he said the commission should be rated high when compared with its counterparts in other West African countries.
Yes.
So
It didn't include Venezuela,
it's not.
where elections hardly happen. Can you imagine?
But let's look at what the basis of his self-score. Well, if I can put it that way, he said, given the size of our voter registration, which is our population, and when you look at the fact that we have offices in all the local governments, tell me one agency which has offices in local government and the staff that work as hard as we do, and our electoral officers at including our electoral officers at the local government levels. Now, I'm not sure whether he's getting information only from his staff, but I mean, if you're going to assess yourself, you should probably get information from your customers, as opposed to relying on what your staff tell you. And let's look at the area in which you concentrated on, which is voter registration.
Thank you.
I mean,
let's start from there. I mean, our 80% of Lagosians did not register.
Exactly. So let's look at the voter registration system. If it's not just about having offices in all the local governments. As a matter of fact, besides the offices in the local governments, they try to create during the voter registration period other places, government schools and all, where you could go to register. But they should come up with the statistics of how many people they were able to register per day.
And how many people even registered
and how many people
got their PVC?
That's after registration. I mean, the registration itself was a hassle. I know people that got there as early as 6 a.m. and till 5 p.m. They left at 6 p.m. without registering. So
I'm one of those people.
Exactly. So if you're going to call yourself an effective public institution, then you need to review the process of voter registration in order to be able to capture a lot of people. From since 1999, I can say this last elections in terms of voter registration, which is what he based his scorecard on, was the worst, because this is not just in terms of what newspapers said. This was something that we saw, especially in Lagos. So I know a lot more people that were not registered then the people that were registered that their PVC didn't come out.
People who
Then
got
those
PVCs
tried
and ended
those
up not being disenfranchised and didn't even go further to vote.
then those that were trying to transfer their PVCs. I know a lot of people that also were affected by that. So when you look at all of that, I mean, this scorecard is very exaggerated.
Thank you for me. Enough said. Moving on to the Guardian newspaper, EFCC orders bank to dishonor NDDC's payment instructions. So they said they made this decision on, after getting wind of the fact, or rather, insinuations or speculations that the NDDC, Niger Delta Development Commission, was about to get into money laundering through that transaction. But Ugo, please explain to us. Let's really understand what's going on here.
Well, if you're somebody who follows NDDC a lot, and maybe a lot of the gist we hear coming out from there now, whether it's true or not is what we can independently verify. But if you listen to the gist, what they typically say is that this is like the bastion of corruption when it comes to government parastatal. So the usual thing is, especially now that they are in some kind of transition mode, they would give contracts, inflate the contracts 3-4 fold, right? And then now siphon the money out, and then the people who actually own the real money will come and then they share it. That's just typically what happens. I mean, that's what we hear. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. So I guess the EFCC also sort of like gotten wind of these moves, and that's why they're moving in here and they're telling banks to basically just hold and don't make any payments, because when you make payments, money is gone. Once it enters somebody's account, you don't go, it's gone. So they're basically trying to seize it. But what is interesting here, and people who are looking at this and being cynical, is like, you mean the EFCC can just instruct a bank and tell a bank to just freeze any money,
so
or
how
just
do they
don't
have that kind of power?
money? So the EFCC quotes section 38 and 34 of the EFCC Act, and I kind of put it up. So let me just read what that says here. It says, notwithstanding anything contained in any other enactment or law, the chairman of the commission or any officer authorized by him may, if satisfied that the money in the account of a person is made through the commission of an offense under this act, and of any of the enactments specified under section blah 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 of this act, section 7(2)(a) of this act, apply to the court ex parte for power to issue an order as specified in Form B of the schedule of this act. So basically what you're saying is the EFCC by this act actually has powers to tell any bank to freeze any account.
No, they have powers to apply to court.
Oh, is
The
that what
court
it means?
has
Apply
the
to court,
powers.
I didn't see
Yes.
court here.
You're right.
Okay.
They have
court
the- and
So
it's
they
not
can-
just
so,
the
but then-
EFCC, the police does this
Yeah,
as well.
but here, we've read stories like this. There is no, where they mention that they apply to any court, basically. So what you read here, and whether they now
But
take this out,
it's indicated in their letter, because the letter begins by stating that they got wind of this allegation and they are commencing investigations. Based on that investigation, the application now comes in to the courts.
yeah, but it's not stated here. So what you expect is that by a court order. So, but what they tell you is that by the powers granted them in section 38.
Let me tell you what this kind of thing does that I do like. So let me explain a bit what it means by ex parte order. So they don't have to notify NDDC is the institution involved here. So they can apply to court behind the back of NDDC. They can satisfy the court that we believe that this fund is linked to an offense and all of that, and they get an order to freeze their account, and then they serve the banks with that order. But when they first of all do this openly, before going behind their back to get the order that they're supposed to get, sort of jeopardizes the entire thing. And then NDCC would, and most banks would not do this without an order of court, because then they risk being sued.
Being sued
Yes.
as well. But in practicality, what actually happens? Do
They
do
get,
the banks just do they
they
wait
get
for the court
orders.
orders?
Yes, and it's not that like I said, even the police do. The police court
They have to
bankers
get a court
orders.
order.
Yes, they have to get a court order.
All right, let's take some comments before we go ahead. So Dapolua says, Ugo, thanks for your analysis. The refusal to pay pension contributions is putting the PFAs in danger. I work for one. While it is irresponsible by the state, we have to know that Nigeria is in a major monetary crisis. Federal government is also guilty. That's from Twitter. And then IK here from WhatsApp says, good morning. Please have INEC said anything about those that were unable to collect their PVCs before the elections?
They said the collection continues right after the collection, yes, of the PVCs continue after the election.
Ola doesn't quite agree with the INEC chairman. He says INEC, ineffective National Electoral Commission, most effective public institution my foot. When CBN hasn't packed up, I beg next base, Jerry.
Next base is this story from Punch newspaper, and I'll come to you for your analysis on this one. For me, so we heard earlier this week the former governor of Ogun State, Ibukunle Amosu, was alleged to have got some weapons, purchased some arms and ammunition, the total of which came to 13 units of armored personnel carriers, about 1,000 units of AK-47 rifles, 2 million rounds of ammunition, 1,000 units of bulletproof vests, and 500 bulletproof helmets and other security communication gadgets. This raised eyebrows because he didn't seem to have sent those weapons or ammunition to the police, or stored it in somewhere like the guys in at the government house. And this caused a lot of uproar. Now, the allegations against him is that, well, this happened, he's supposed to be arrested immediately, opposition, pride foul. He, by this statement in this story, has indicted the incumbent governor, Dapo Abiodun, saying that he was the main supplier of some of the armored personnel carriers that he bought in 2012.
So, well, I don't think he did, per se. So I like the fact that he responded to the Premium Times story and it set forth his facts. And when I went through the entire thread that he put forward, and I can't speak to the veracity of it, but I do think that it makes a very good defense of what happened, because according to him, he went through the proper channels to get it done. We all know that this kind of things, security is federal government's purview. So he said he applied to the federal government because of the security challenges that Ogun State was facing in 2011. He applied to the federal government and got approval to set up the UPMESA unit. And following that, they needed to procure equipment. And he got the necessary approvals from the National Security Advisor, the Ministry of Finance, and he said, and that was when he bought, and he listed everything that he got. Now, where he brought in the name of the new governor was apparently, according to the story, they said that he tried to hand over so that the new government will know about it and all of that. And he's saying, why would I do that? Even he was part of the contractors that we used to procure the arms. So it wasn't like indicting him that he did anything wrong. It was just like a statement was, I'm not trying to hide anything. The man knew, was one of our contractors at the time, and what have you. And and according to him as well, immediately the equipment was purchased, was handed over to the IGP, who now, because it was the state government that purchased it, he insisted that it be used by the state police command for Ogun State and all of that. And all he was doing as part of his handover reports was to report that as well. Yes. And not that he was keeping private arms for himself. Now, like I said, I can't speak to the veracity of it. Okay. I don't have any of the documents he said. Okay. But I think it was quite responsible of him to have come to sort of put the facts forward. It's now different police. That's what in the government house. No, he said he handed it over to the police in 2012, according to his Twitter thread. Like I said, I can't say the veracity of it.
They were bought in 2012 and handed over in 20.
No. Twitter said he first handed over in 2012.
Thank you.
And the second batch was
related back.
Sorry.
Out of my court. Thank you very much. Let's move on to our next story. Adenike, it's coming to you. National Youth Service Corps. Court says graduates who skip scheme can contest governorship. Premium Times has this one. So, following a court ruling, and I'm glad you're taking this one, in Abuja from a federal high court, a candidate cannot be disqualified from an election for failure to participate in the National Youth Service Corps scheme.
Okay, so this there was a suit instituted by former Senator Iyabo Anishulo. When I saw her name, I'm like, oh my God, I remember that name exactly. And she had taken the well, the new governor of Ogun
Ogun
State,
State.
Dapo Abiodun, to court, saying that for his failure to participate in NYSC. Let me start by saying that in an instance where the Constitution of Nigeria and any other law is in conflict, the Constitution always takes preeminence. So now we're talking about the Constitution of Nigeria and the NYSC Act.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, both of them do not contradict themselves on this subject matter, as the case may be.
Okay.
Because what the Constitution states in Section 177, to be elected or to contest as a governor include that you're a citizen of Nigeria by birth,
Yes.
that you have attained the age of 35, that you're a member of a political party and that party is sponsoring you, and that you have been educated up to at least the school certificate level or its equivalent. So what it means literally when it comes to educational qualification is all you need is NYSC,
School
WAEC.
cert.
That's
School
it.
certificate. All
So the NYSC question doesn't even come to bear in any way. And we've seen several stories. We've seen the story of the former Minister of Education, Adebayo Shit. We've also
Yes.
seen the former Minister of Finance,
Although
Kemi
hers was a
Adeosun.
bit.
And the
slightly
reality about it
different.
is, in Kemi Adeosun's case, as we know, it was forgery. It was a crime. But in Adebayo's, he did not. He did not do NYSC.
Yeah.
And we know that for several reasons, people do not partake, in NYSC, and then that should somehow lead you to getting an exemption certificate. NYSC then determines and has stated clearly what the laws are and what must be met for you to qualify to be exempt from the service. So all of this doesn't, it's what it means is the court is saying all you require is school certificate, whether you graduated from a university, whether you went or you did not go, your NYSC certificate is not a reason why you will qualify.
I think this is really critical and it's going to impact for those who are seeking public office following
For future
this.
cases.
Yes, for future cases. And let's go to Papa Gridlock. We have another news story from here, but this time it's the economic impact of the gridlock. Ugo, I'll come to you for this. So, according to the Vanguard newspaper, daily car sales drops 98%.
Do you know how expensive it is?
Well, this is from complaints from burger motor dealers. So they've said that sometimes in weeks they get no sale, and if they do get sales, about 2 or 3 cars, and how adversely it's impacting on their businesses. Please take us to the story.
So there's a lot of negative impact from what's happening at our ports, apart
Yes.
from the duty issue, the trucks, and then the bad roads that you have there.
And
is
the
a
ease
huge
of doing
problem.
business.
Yeah, huge problem. So what it means is that people can't even get cars in, and when you can't get cars in, then car dealers can't sell cars, and so it's affecting. And the guys in Berger, closer to the port, are complaining that
Yes.
nobody's actually coming there to buy, and that's because it takes them a lot of time to get all the way to Apapa. So why come to Apapa to buy? So you rather just go to maybe Surulere, right? Then go there and then buy the cars there, or go somewhere else, but
Yes.
not at Berger, which is really the challenge. And he's saying that look, this is affecting the livelihood of everybody around there.
Yes.
So not just the car dealers, the people who service the car dealers, the people who are selling, people who do runs around there. That there's no business at all. And so this is just a microcosm of what's happening in the country and how Papa affects the entire nation. I've spoken to people who import, people who export things. They're all having the same challenges. People who import, say, like there was a friend of mine who sent a message in the WhatsApp group that went into that, and he was saying that look, he tried books that they've imported has been in the port for months already, right? And they can't even clear it. So it's not like they can't pay duty, but they can't even clear it. They can't even access. I have friends who are also importing things, who are exporting things, and they're saying to export alone, you can have your truck out there for months.
Yes.
You can't even export, so you can't even meet your orders, from either your Asian or European counterparts. So that's really the challenge that we have here. And
So
if government doesn't fix this, I really don't know where we'll go from here.
just very quickly, I'm glad Valentine mentioned about the ease of doing business. We know that this is very close to the heart of the vice president, who is the chair, and also the president.
Yeah.
Would you not think that this would be taken as priority, because obviously it has a huge impact on business?
Well, it seems to have been taken as priority, right? You've seen a lot of executive orders, you've seen backing,
Well,
you've seen
nothing-
noise, but no action, right?
Yes.
Nobody has gone to jail or nobody has paid the price for this. This is costing the economy billions of naira in lost revenue, and of course hardship to a lot of people. But no one, you've not seen, have you seen any head roll? Have you seen anyone gotten fired?
We haven't
seen anything.
One would think that
it's not just by giving us executive orders and making noise and making statements about it. We want action, and people just want to see things improve.
All right, thank you very much. We want action. We want to see improvement and not just orders.
Can we take a quick message?
Yes.
This one is from Okwemi Praise. He says he kept some ammunition and just handed them over recently. What has he been doing with them all this time?
For me, and that's true.
Because he says, I'm appalled that the criteria for holding a position in office is just whack.
Because we moved on from this abolition, or what is this appointment? Yes. All right. So for me, let me come to you for this next one very quickly. Opposition to Ruga mounts as critics reject federal government cattle settlement policy. So let's hear some of the reactions. As it's a very detailed report by these days. So
your lordship will not allow allow us go through it in details.
I'm sorry,
but quickly. Yes, like you said, there's been a lot of reactions, and frankly speaking, I agree with a whole lot of them. Yeah. So I'm going to summarize it with removing all the extra spice we always like to put with all these things. Chief Edwin Clark, who is the convener of the Pan Nigeria Delta Forum, the summary of what he said is that the president doesn't have the right to unilaterally do this. And a number of people also mentioned that point. The Land Use Act vests all the authority over the land in a state to the state governor, or where it's a non-urban area to local government. So it's actually something, yes, property can be acquired or compulsorily acquired for public interest, but it's in the powers of the state governor. So the president cannot unilaterally do this. And the second thing that he mentioned, which is part of what the Afenifere group also mentioned, is that you cannot come to other regions to come and get land for the Fulani people, in quotes, and that would cause some form of provocation at this time, and would further entrench the whole Islamization, Fulanization of the Nigerian theme that has been going around. And one very important part of it is something that the national chairman of the Middle Belt Forum said, is every state knows its own Fulani its own local Fulani community, and that he feels like this action would just cause an influx of Fulani from across West Africa, which would be like a cover for the foreigners coming. That's important to me because I know a few weeks ago we dealt with a story as to the true identity of the perpetrators of this crime.
Yes,
and as to whether they are the local Fulani people that we know in our communities or foreigners that are coming in. So if we're saying that the position of the government has always been that it's foreigners, this does not completely solve the issue.
All right. Thank you very much. You might want to read, fuller stories, and I'll put them together.
Okay.
Yes, because they're quite similar. The Yohan's committee, Okorocha's wife took away 7 vehicles, and in addition to that, in the report talks about the other government functionaries did. And then Vanguard has, I spent only 1.2 billion naira on funerals, not 2.3 billion naira, says Bauchi ex-governor. I didn't get very quickly.
Okay, so very quickly in the latter story, it talks about how he took over or inherited the practice of burying people in Bauchi State. And what came to mind was, must everything be inherited, good or bad, and at whose expense, and what expense?
Yes.
The state government under him in the last year actually did increase its IGR, so maybe that's where they got the money from. But the reality about it is, holistically, they couldn't afford it. And then people are beginning the question that a lot of people that were buried in the Bauchi Muslim cemetery. And people are saying, are you saying that there were non-Christians who died and couldn't afford the funeral rites? But it begs the question, how much longer will we continue to carry on certain things that we know we cannot afford at this time as Nigerians? That's for that story.
Right.
Then the Yehodiora committee. Okorocha's special assistant on media has come out and has said that what they're mainly doing is blackmailing the former governor. But the report is that not only did the former first lady go away with at least 5 7 SUVs. What they're claiming is that looted properties belonging to the state as at today is more than 50 billion, and they had written letters to them to return, and nothing has happened. Not only her, they're claiming that her ADC, her driver,
The Commissioner
her
for
sister-in-law
Happiness. Yes.
as well took properties. But the reality about it is we need to ask these questions every time there's a new administration. Must we always replace some of these things? And if we must, how much longer? We're copying America, for instance, and saying this is what they do every time a new president gets into the White House. They can afford it, but we can no longer afford
Thank
it.
you very much. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, Adenike. A very quick last message here. Benga Komo says you can find any car you need in almost any part of Lagos. So why the need to stress on Apapa? The Apapa road is a symptom of the state of the country. Government is not serious.
All right, thank you so much for your comments. Thanks to Ugo at Ugo Dre, Fumi at Fumi Odide, and Adenike at Adenike Oyetunde on Twitter. Thanks a lot for your contributions. And we continue the show this morning on Smooth Breakfast. And at 8:15 we have Grapevine. Good morning.
You should get used to that by now.
You always